This podcast, Life Success Pod with Matt and Nat, was created with the intention to help you create holistic success in every important area of your life. I'm your co-host, Nat, and I'm truly excited to be co-hosting this podcast with my amazing husband, Matt. And we're both truly excited to support you on your journey to more happiness, fulfillment, vibrant health, richer relationships, and abundance and success in the most important areas to you. We're going to be raw, authentic, so join us for this journey as we share what's worked, what hasn't worked, and give you practical tools that you can apply right away to create an extraordinary life that you love. So get ready, buckle up, and enjoy the journey. Oh, and if you feel like being a great friend, pass this on to someone else that you think this may benefit. Hello and welcome to Life Success Pod. This is Nat and I am with you today solely and wholly, just you and I. And today, I'm going to talk to you about something that's truly close to my heart personally, something that's probably been one of my biggest challenges in my entire life. And the more I work through it myself, help other people through it, the more that I realize that so many people are secretly or even unconsciously suffering from this. And there's a way out. There's a way out. And what that is low self-esteem. When I was a kid, I was 5 years old, I remember having and feeling low self-esteem. I've had core memories of not being picked for a team or being one of the last ones. And I just remember that feeling of that normality, like always not being wanted or not being the popular one or not being valued, I think would be a key word. And so a lot of the journey, a lot of my healing work, a lot of the work that's allowed me to really create better results has required me, I was going to say enabled, but it's required me to do this deeper work of working on raising my self-worth, on raising my self-esteem, on working at building myself up from the inside out with confidence. I also used to work at a gym. I used to be a receptionist, and I remember watching a lot of guys, let's face it, in particular at the time, really pumping out weights, trying to get as big as they could, as lean as they could, as bulky as they could, taking all this stuff. And I remember observing and thinking, are they actually suffering with low self-esteem that they need to look huge, like unproportionately huge, in order to compensate for that feeling inside? And how is it that someone doesn't need to look a certain way, yet I feel that they feel confident? And so I started that journey just through observation and just observing who in my environment genuinely feels confident, will look at you in the eye, talk to you, not talk down to you, not talk like they're beneath you, but talk to you like you are equal to them and they are equal to you. And their worth does not reside on their body or their body image. Their worth does not reside on the car they drive or the job they have or the dollars they earn. And truly, it's a confidence that's attractive purely because so few people out of 100 genuinely have it. And at first, I would go and set goals and really want to achieve. Yes, I want to earn that. Yes, I want to have that. I want to drive that luxury car because I thought that it would make me feel better about me. And the interesting thing is, on the journey to manifesting a lot of these things that I wanted as a child or a teenager, it required me to work on my self-worth. I needed to feel deserving of that, whatever that was. I needed to release a lot of these limiting ideas and warped negative perceptions of myself and align with more abundant or more deserving ideas. And you see, it's not just about the material things, but it's also about feeling worthy of harmony and feeling worthy of peace of mind and feeling worthy of being safe. And so self-esteem is a huge thing and something that I am so passionate about in that the core of love and prosperity is working on your self-worth. Because if you do not feel worthy, then you cannot attract beyond what you feel worthy of, let alone keep it in your life. We can outperform our self-image and our self-worth and kind of mask it as well. We can push it down and do all these other things, surgeries and try and change our faces and breast augmentation and do all these things. And once again, I'm not judging doing those things. My question is, and even going after goals as a coach that teaches people to go after goals, the question is why? Why do you want that? Is it because you feel you're going to be more loved when you have it? Is it because you're going to feel more accepted when you have that or when you do that? Or is it coming from a place of, I just love that. I just love it. Like it's this beautiful resonance, radiance. That's different. That's at least coming from a place of wholeness, of joy. I am whole. I feel great. And I would love that, as opposed to I deep down feel like there's something missing. There's a void. And I feel that when I have that, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel more worthy. I'm going to feel more loved. And what will happen is you can achieve amazing things in your life. But if you never work on your self-worth and your self-esteem, I promise you, when you get there and when you achieve that, when you have that house and when you have that marriage and when you have that income, when you have all those things, there's going to be this void still there. Because this work of working on our self-esteem and self-worth is really that place of working on coming back to who we are, which is whole. I was on a coaching call today, Love and Prosper, and I was talking about a baby when they're born. They're not born with cash, I said, in their bum cheek, because I don't have pants, or a skirt or whatever it is. But when we're babies, we're not born saying, all right, mum and dad, here's my money. Can you put clothes on me? Can you give me a bottle? Can you breastfeed me? Like, we are like, I am worthy. I'm worthy of being fed. I'm worthy of being warm. I'm worthy of being loved and held and nurtured and comforted. And yeah, I'm also worthy of breaking your sleep, mum and dad. Yes. But the truth is, then bit by bit, through series of events, growing up, could be genetic stuff that gets passed down, behaviors that get passed down, and then how we're treated, who's around us, that slowly, everyone is different. But in some way, we can have imprints and impacts that make us feel less than, right? Less than that innate worthiness that we were born with. And this is what I want us to come back to. I honestly feel this is a huge part of my purpose because it's been one of my biggest pains that I've been able to turn into one of my greatest gifts, is the capacity to see when someone is hurting deep down, even if they're not aware, with feelings of inadequacy and unworthiness, even if they're not aware of it. And at the same time, I've learned so many ways and strategies and tried so many things to help me raise my self-worth. And I'll be honest with you, it's a constant work in progress. However, as I keep working on it, my life does get better. If I look at the Nat, I saw a photo, it's crazy, of the Nat of would have been about 2008. Okay. And I look like a completely different person, like rolled shoulders in, hunched over, like unworthy of even standing straight and tall, apologizing to everyone, even if it wasn't my fault, like just so defeated and somewhat of a skeleton, left. And I've had to work on awakening this light and this empowerment. The Nat that is here today is such a different version. Yet the Nat that I aspire to be more like is another whole new version of this one too. Unconditionally loving, empowered, happy, abundant, loved, and standing in her own light unapologetically, serving and sharing the world, worthy of all the success, And I've got an image in my mind and one that I keep working on. So if you don't have one, if you don't have an image of the version of you that your alter ego, I shouldn't say alter ego, but your divine version of yourself that you aspire to be, that's to me the biggest role model for you, right? When you have a version of you that is available in some capacity, but you're not that person yet. However, you can become him or become her. The fact that you can see it in your imagination means that it's possible for you, or you wouldn't even imagine him or her. But by getting a pen and paper and writing down who is this version of you, if anything was truly possible, how would you love to feel? Who would you love to be? And this is not about thinking of anyone else but you. This isn't about you trying to compete or compare or be better than. Honestly, it's as if you're the only person right now in the world and you get to create your most loved and empowered version of you. How do they think about themselves? How do they stand? How do they talk? How do they be? How do they act? And this to me is my alter version. When I was a kid, I was asked, who's your biggest role model? And I didn't have one. Like I genuinely, when I wrote things like my grandmother, she inspired me, but my role model, I never had one. And I think in a lot of ways, I've looked at other people around me in my life. Yep, on Instagram, I may not know them personally, but they all inspire me. And I take pieces and parts of what I love about them, health habits, relationships, and being a beautiful mother and being so confident and, looking after her body. And I just take all these pieces and then I put it on a paper and then I get to create me, the identity that I choose to step into, not the one that I got given as a program, as a default, because that's automatic. And I don't want that default program. I want to outdo that. I want to outgrow it over and over and over again because I am capable of so much growth in this lifetime and I'm capable of so much more love and to be a better mom and to be a better coach and to be a better business owner and to be wealthier and to be happier and to be a better friend and a wife. And so this is that place where I'm always shooting for. So I want to talk to you about self-esteem, okay? And even what it is. Ultimately, self-esteem refers to what you think of you, okay? So not what others think of you, it's what you think of you. And that is my first question for you. What do you think of you? And I don't mean the answer that you will tell your friends who you're trying to impress or no, the true feelings of you. How do you think of you? And maybe they're actually more positive than what you make it out to be. And maybe they're actually more critical than what others know you to be. But in your heart of hearts, do you feel that you are worthy, that you are valuable? And the truth is, we're going to have different levels of self-esteem in different areas. So if you're a parent, how much value do you feel you give as a parent? Do you feel value in what you do and how you serve and how you give? right? As a partner, as a spouse, do you feel worthy and valuable in what you bring to your relationship? How about in your business, if you have one, or in your job, right? Do you feel a value? Do you feel that you add so much value to your career, right? And how about with money? Like, do you feel capable, competent, valued, and valuable in that area? Do you feel worthy of receiving? Okay, so self-esteem is a lot of, in different areas, it's going to change. So if you want an area in your life that right now is not prospering as well as you'd love it to be, then I would really look at your self-esteem in that area. That's so important. And one of the things that I've seen with my boys at school is there are times where I remember some resistance in going to school, and in uncovering why they were resistant, it would come up that things were hard at school. Like they didn't feel they could do it easily. It was challenging. Others were doing it faster. Others were able to answer the questions. And so ultimately what I saw was, well, they didn't feel confident. Their self-esteem was dipping. So the desire to show up was less and less and less. That makes total sense. If your self-esteem is dropping in something, your desire to keep showing up diminishes, right? And so rather than just saying, right, well, you got to keep going, there's no choice, you got to go to school, I went, well, what if we help you improve this? What if we improve your reading? What if we improve your multiplication? And so I literally would go and order something like a Kumon book or something on Amazon and just help them with that thing, that area that they felt not confident in. Could be a sport. I've done this recently with my daughter with her tennis. She was feeling down because she kept missing the ball at practice. So I got her some balls and a little net, and just 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. And she went yesterday and she was feeling down again. It's only been a week since we've kind of focused on it, but it's okay. I know the process. Let's keep going. 5 minutes again. And that's the thing. So with the boys, that's what happened. They felt more confident all of a sudden. The desire to go to school, not only did they want to go to school, they would then look forward to that subject because they were more confident. So I know the same thing will happen with my daughter. The same thing happens with all of us. Whatever we don't feel confident in, it's about just getting better at that area, becoming more confident in showing up and doing that thing, getting extra help if we need it. That's okay, right? So I want to share with you some of the signs of low self-esteem, okay? So some of the signs here is that you don't feel capable or confident, okay? Pretty simple. The other one is you may criticize yourself, all right? You might catch it externally when you're speaking, but you may also just think it, being critical, even swearing at yourself, notice all those things. Getting frustrated at yourself is another sign. Okay, you may feel afraid of making mistakes, especially on low important things. This is very interesting because if you're getting frustrated on those little things that are of not much importance and it's not perfect in your eyes, well, then that's a sign you're being harsh on yourself. That's a sign you already got low self-esteem is kicking in. Okay, that inner critic has stepped up to the plate. And so being kind to yourself is a way to start to dissolve that. Okay, the next clue, if you've got some low self-esteem, is you may feel unloved, inadequate, or incompetent. And I think that is a big one, all right? Whether it's feeling unloved. I remember going through that, working on my self-esteem as a mum. And there was a period, didn't last long, and I was able to work through it, doing this work, this inner work, where I didn't feel worthy as a mom. And I was just comparing, noticing how the kids kept going to Matt, and I was like, what is happening? But they were just saying little mean things to me, and I was taking it personally. But then I was aware that I was attracting it because of the vibration I was in. And so, of course, the lower our self-worth is and critical voice, the more we'll attract confirmation of it. So, of course, that's where that person cuts you off and abuses you while you're driving, because in that moment, you're on that vibration with your own self-worth, right? And so I started to have to flip that. And I'm going to show you in this case what I did. Actually, I'll share it now. In this case, what I did was I wrote out exactly how I felt about myself as a mom. And then on another sheet of paper, I wrote how I wanted to feel about myself as a mom, but I wrote it as if it was in the present tense, right? So in the present tense. And then I also wrote how I was treated as a mom, being loved, adored, and the kids hugging me. And as I gave more attention to that second image and story, and I ripped up the first one, well, then that shifted, and I remember, I had to work on that for a little bit, maybe a couple of months. I can't remember. But now I'm really, really feeling way more competent and confident as a mom. And it's amazing how when things come up, there's work to do. So don't look at it as a sign of defeat or failure or no, this is how it's going to be forever. But just look at it as an opportunity to lean in and raise your self-esteem in this particular area. Okay. Another sign of low self-esteem here is you may struggle with fear of letting others down. Oh, wow, you put all this pressure on you. And so in doing so, it's coming from a place of not feeling worthy of having support or others being proud of you or others being supportive of you. So instead, you have this fear of letting people down. Okay, so just check in with yourself. Of course, there's other behaviors that then get expressed as being critical. I think being frustrated is a huge one as well at yourself. It's just a clue. Yeah, there's a lot. It's just that we express them individually. But these are some of the clues and symptoms, let's say, of low self-esteem. But ultimately, just know that self-esteem impacts our success, our enjoyment, happiness in life. It literally impacts our relationships. It impacts how well we do what we do. It impacts how well we parent. It impacts our relationship with our spouse. And do you know what ultimately, though? It impacts the way we feel, whether it's happy or loved or unloved and depressed. Like, it really does impact us. And if you've been fighting depression or trying to change that pattern of feeling low, self-esteem work is a huge part of that. Guaranteed. Because it's when those thoughts turn really critical for a long period of time about you and then your life that really leads to that dark place. So if there's anything we can do to rewrite that and create this new pattern of thinking and a new way of feeling, then more and more and more we can vibrate at higher frequencies, and that will replace vibrating at lower frequencies, which is the older version, you see. And this is where you can keep attracting more and greater based on the vibration, okay? But it affects our health, personal relationships, like I said, career, our ability to manage adversity as well, and also rise from adversity. Because if self-esteem is low, you rising up after defeat or perceived failure or challenge, it can take a long time, okay? But the person with high self-esteem can just get back up. They're like, that's okay. That doesn't define me. I can do this. I can keep going. I think of Novak Djokovic. He was interviewed. It was such a great interview. And he was talking about what happens when he's like on a bit of a streak during a game where he needs to get back. back into getting the ball in, back into winning points. And he said, the most important thing is that I let go of that last point. I have to let it go and just talk to myself and say, no, I can do this. I've got this. I can hit this. And literally change that inner dialogue. And the thing is, depending on how long you've had some low self-esteem or critical thinking, there's momentum going on. And for some of you, you've had momentum in this area for a long time. And some of you, it's in moments. It comes, it goes. But I want you to be able to break free from that. And I have this magic wand. Well, what if we don't go there at all? I wish we never had to go into critical thinking. If I could obliterate something, that would be something I would try and eradicate from human consciousness altogether. No more negative thinking, especially of the self, of our own selves. So let's move on. And some of you might be listening to this going, nah, yeah, I kind of hear what you're saying, but I can't really relate. All right, let's go deeper as well as to the causes of low self-esteem, okay? Because a lot of them are happening during childhood, okay? Our childhood shapes a lot of how we think. It doesn't mean that that's fixed. It doesn't mean that we have to stay like that. But it does impact us, let's face it, in the developmental years of our life, whatever was going on around us, and also the habits of thinking and behaviors of the parents we have influence us, even at a genetic level, okay? However, remember this, our environment trumps hereditary. Okay. So if you start to surround yourself around more uplifting, positive, supportive, loving, unconditionally loving people, then that will play a huge role into positive self-esteem and changing that. So I think of a child moving into a foster home or, changing from a negative environment or critical one to a more loving one. That's going to really impact the child in a positive way. Now, in our early life, being neglected or feeling that abandonment when our needs weren't met, okay? A lot of the time, even the emotional needs, where we feel sad or we feel angry, something hurt us, and maybe the people around us were like, oh, just get on with it. Like, no one needs to hear that right now. And so we were forced to suppress that. Okay, not feeling our needs were met when really all we wanted to do was have someone hold us, cry it out, and they don't go because they love us, even in our messiness, even in our anger, even in all the emotions. We can feel love instead of neglect, right? Abusive environment, whether that's physical, verbal, sexual, whatever abuse of form that is, even bullying, that will absolutely impact self-esteem. Okay, so that's a huge one because that then shapes our ideas and perceptions of ourselves. The other one that comes up here as a cause is having people of authority, right? Which a lot of the time are parents or people that you really looked up to that were disapproving. So, for example, you got 90% out of in a test and they're like, well, why didn't you get 100? Or you got into this course, or this, university degree and you're so happy and they're like, oh, that's great. You could have done that, like just constantly disapproving as opposed to going, oh my goodness, I am so proud of you. This is incredible, right? Do you know what I mean? Like that is huge. And I grew up with that. So for me, I was starting to do the same thing. I caught myself every soccer game after when Ollie was little, I would be like, why didn't you do that? Like you could have done this, you could have done that. And I was getting frustrated. And I'm like, Nat, like, what are you doing? It was literally like this voice would just take over and I just couldn't control myself. So I took time away and I once again went to work, went to work on healing that. And I knew that it was my stuff about me because all I was doing was repeating a voice that I heard about me as well. It didn't matter how well I did. It wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. And I went, no, that is not okay to continue. So I'm better off not watching him play so he doesn't hear that. And then when I came back, I promised myself that I was only going to focus on what he did well. And that was it. I wasn't even going to make any comment. I wasn't going to encourage anything to like, you should do this. Because the minute I did that, I'd go back in an old way. I was like, wow, I love that you did this. I love that you did that. And I had to break the pattern. This was a generational pattern, mind you. So it took some really intense, deliberate, conscious thinking. And so bit by bit, I just focused on the good. And I started to treat him the way that he was aspiring to see himself, because he was at the time feeling not enough. And I was feeding that, and that wasn't okay. So I stopped that. And I just encouraged him, and he started to get more confident, and he started to, feel more proud of himself. And it was a positive cycle. I had to work so much on this to the point that I put sticky notes around the house of raising up our kids to remind me that the first thing that comes out of my mouth has to be something that raises them up and not puts them down. Once again, this is genetic pattern, like literally as a child to an adult, that's been passed on from generation to generation, that the first words that come out are critical, like, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. So of course, that is a huge contributor to low self-esteem. So as a role model, whether you're an auntie or an uncle, whether you're a mom or dad or friend, you can be a role model to other people, not just children, but even adults and friends, where the first thing that can come out of your mouth can be something good. Like, I love that about you. I love when you did this. I love that. And for every, say, 5 things that are positive, if you can see that they can work on something, then go, can I make a suggestion that I think would help you? What if next time you try this instead of that? What do you think? Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. They're so much more receptive to receiving some feedback. I'm not even going to say critical feedback, because it's not. It's just a suggestion that you think would help. And I think that if we can talk like that to other people, then we can learn how to talk like that to ourselves as well. You see, because our inner voice and the tone in which we speak to ourselves is also blurted out on the outside too. The next cause of low self-esteem is trauma and abuse. Okay. That's an obvious one, hopefully to, a lot of people that, well, of course that's going to impact in some way. So it's important to heal that, to work on that. If you need therapy through that, absolutely. There's a lot of deeper work, shadow work, healing work, self-love work. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just something that on the other side, there's a huge gift, I promise you. Okay. Being compared as well. Why can't you be more like your brother? Or you should be like this. Or can't you see so-and-so? Like they do that. Why can't you do that? That comparison is so bad as a child. Like, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to feel that, because all you're doing is saying, in other words, you're not enough right now. That's the subconscious message. So just eliminate comparison. Like, if you want to get one of your kids to do something and the other child is doing it, just give attention to the child doing it and saying, you know what? I really love that you've done that. Thank you. Thank you for emptying your lunchbox, right? And then you're not doing it with a hidden message of, well, thanks so-and-so for emptying your lunchbox. Like, hint, hint. No, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about genuine, no double binding messages here, genuine appreciation, as if no one else was around. Okay. And if you can be like that, you watch, other people will want to feel that too, or maybe also raising their awareness. They're not even aware, So I think it's just, once again, how we speak to others. And then another one, this was a really surprising one for me when I was researching this too. And the lack of love, encouragement, and even touch, warmth, love, affection. So some people can go, well, I didn't have abuse. I wasn't compared. I didn't have people that kept telling me that what I did wasn't enough. But yeah, actually, I didn't really have anyone tell me that they were proud of me or cheering me on or lit up every time I walked in the room and gave me a big hug and kiss or gave me a kiss before bed and when I woke up. Like that coldness is what creates a lack of self-esteem. And so warmth, love, connection, nurture, appreciation, where you're appreciated. If you weren't appreciated or you didn't feel appreciated as a child or teenager or, growing up, that's going to chip away at your self-esteem. So I would ask yourself right now, do you feel appreciated as an adult listening to this? And who are those people that appreciate you? And what we want to do is understand this golden rule that the more you work on appreciating yourself, the more you'll let more appreciation in, because your self-worth will go up and you'll say, yeah, actually, I'm not going to settle for that. I'm not going to be taken for a ride or taken advantage of. No, I'm not going to hang around you anymore. I do not want to be around your energy because you don't appreciate me. And I'm going to lean into those that do. And this is really, really important for your own self-worth, is to not let people cross your boundary and treat you like an object when you are this beautiful being. But I will tell you this, if you do not appreciate yourself and work on self-worth, you will let that happen. And people will keep stepping on you energetically and even crossing the boundaries of your space, of the way they should treat you. So if you want to improve the quality of your relationships, I really believe it's about standing your ground and saying, no, I am not going to be treated like that anymore, even if you have let it happen for a long time. And that is a decision that only you can make and a place to arrive to only when you've worked on your own self-worth. You got to keep working on it in order for you to see where maybe in your life that's been falling short. And it's interesting because I think we can only see as much as we value ourselves as well. One thing that I've noticed even recently, I did tell you this podcast was going to be raw and authentic because you get to go on this journey just as I'm growing myself and developing, raising my awareness and changing. And just even recently, I've really doubled down on working on my own self-worth and noticing there were times where one of my kids was just like really demanding. And I became aware that I was always attending to their need from a place of keeping the peace. I'm like, whoa, that's a pattern I grew up with. No, I don't mind. And I've actually said, no, like I'm not listening, and even ignoring that behavior entirely, because if we let people treat us anyway, well, then that's actually just setting your own standard of having a very low one. And I became aware. I'm like, whoa, how long have I been letting this happen? That's crazy. I didn't think I was doing this, but we don't know what we don't know. So it's not like we judge ourselves, but it's a new awareness of a self-worth. And what I noticed was I started to say, no, that is not okay. Can we ask a sentence with a complete sentence and say please or have manners? And so learning how to not just be like, get me this, do that. Like, whoa, I'm a human being and I don't talk to you like that. So please talk to me with respect. And if you cannot do that, I am literally not going to listen to you. And you're going to have to go find someone else that's going to have low self-worth that will go to your beck and call. And this is true for any relationship. So keep raising your self-worth. And I promise you, your quality of how you're treated will go up. But it's, once again, constant growth, which is beautiful. All right, now let's go into how do we improve our self-worth? Because this is the place that the magic really happens. And I think the first step above all is actually acknowledging it. Okay, because if we're in denial of it, oh no, I don't have that. But then we feel inadequate in areas and we're not even acknowledging we feel inadequate. Well, then you're trying to change something without actually even going to the cause, right? You're going to keep trying to think it's the outside. You're going to try even harder. You're going to blame that thing, blame that person, blame that job, whatever it is. But here's the thing. If you want to upgrade your life, it comes to you. It comes to you taking responsibility. All right. I love what Nelson Mandela says. He says, I never lose. I either win or learn. So this idea of losing in life or winning in life, failing in life or winning in life, it's not real. So by having this idea of, well, I either grow, win or learn, like there's no loss. Even if there is what's perceived as a loss or a failure or business failure, bankruptcy, marriage failure, but all these things that we think are bad, there's so much to learn from them. And in fact, if we are working in harmony with the law, we can transmute those low points, crashes into big, beautiful blessings. But that requires a lot of gratitude, a lot of love, a lot of reflection, a lot of learning, and a lot of change. And by you doing that, then that was necessary to have that success on the other side. Okay, so just remember that. You don't lose, you learn. Okay, so the next one that I love, I've worked on this idea for about 4 years, is that everything is always working out for me and everything is for me. So by me thinking, well, everything is for me, everything is for me, everything that's happening is for me, for my greater good, for me achieving more abundance, for me having healthier relationships, everything is for me, then I'm not going to take things so personally or feel that it's bad, because it's the meaning that we're adding to the situations that creates the story and then the feelings. So if we can have a more positive meaning towards situations, well, then that's a huge shift in the right direction. All right. Another one here is a huge one for our perfectionists listening, is to stop aiming for perfection. A lot of the time, you may have not received love from what you did or who you were, and you're always trying to prove your love and your worth. Well, when I earn more, and then I'll be loved, and then and so you try and go, well, when I hit that, score more goals, and you go train even really hard. And sometimes, like I said earlier at the start of this podcast, it can come from the wrong place. It can come from that void. And so if we stop aiming for perfection and rather we just aim for growth and improvement, that is a very different mindset. So it's progress that we're shooting for. If you're going to work out and you're trying to change the health of your body, well, it's progress you're aiming for. Yes, set some goals, because that will help you hold an image in your mind to get emotionally involved with. Maybe you want to be fit, or maybe you want to look a certain way. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's more important that you're not shooting for perfection, thinking that that's how you should be, or how it should look like, or how you should be as a mom or dad or parent or husband or wife or business owner or person. Like there's no scorecard of tick, you failed. Sorry, like you go to hell. Like, no, that doesn't exist. You get to choose to grow. And so often, if you've been growing up in an environment that was very critical, then of course you're going to aim for perfection. Okay. So let's not blame the past, though. This is growth as well. I think there's beauty in it. If I didn't go through a lot of things I went through, well, how could I be even helping you right now today? Like, it's a huge part of what I do because of how much I've put into my own journey with this, that enables me and equips me to help other people with low self-worth, confidence, self-esteem, self-image, right? Okay, this is one we're going to come back full circle with. This is to put boundaries in place. Put boundaries in place, and that's going to help you stop that feeling of being used. That's really, really important. Where you might have this person that comes to you and they're going to ask for something, or confront it, acknowledge it. They know, I've noticed that you come to me when you need something or want something, and just put some boundaries in place. The person with low self-worth has very low boundaries, if any. They'll do whatever, they'll treat others whatever, they'll let themselves be treated whatever. They don't care about their appearance, what they do, there's whatever. The person with high self-esteem and high self-worth feels worthy. They take care of their body, they take care of their mind, they don't want to be around people that mistreat them. They don't let that happen. They know that's not cool. So just make sure that you've set boundaries, okay? Focus on the positives about you. Okay, this is a rewiring of your mind. So that's going to take repetition to focus on what's good about you as opposed to what's wrong. Focus on what is working in your life as opposed to what isn't. Focus on what is abundant in your life as opposed to what is lacking. Focus on your strengths and what you do well, what you're talented in, as opposed to what others are talented in that you don't feel talented in. So we want to have this inner dialogue, inner voice, inner cheerleader to be positive, encouraging, supportive. That's the kind of inner dialogue that we want. So we've got to train ourselves to think like that about ourselves. The next one, this is actually going to be what I would encourage as your homework or takeaway for today, is to lean into gratitude. The more grateful we are, the more we will focus on images that feel good, especially when we focus on what we're grateful for in our lives and in ourselves, right? Gratitude truly does alter the way we think and feel, and going from a critical mind to a grateful heart is literally night and day. And we cannot vibrate negatively when we feel gratitude. We are literally vibrating a beautiful frequency. And that's what we'll start to see more of and attract more of into our life. So gratitude and appreciation and praise for a higher power for all that we have, and being specific. This is a daily practice, and writing causes thinking. So yes, although it's great to think grateful thoughts, it is also nice to write them as well, because it enables our mind to focus on certain images long enough to gain momentum. And so it works really profoundly if you write your gratitude. Bob Proctor taught me to write, "I'm so happy and grateful now that," and you write the things you're grateful for, be specific. And then you get to write what you're grateful for that hasn't yet manifested, but you can feel that it has. And that's a manifestation technique. But one thing that I've added is to write things that I'm grateful for about me that I did well today. All right, so you can do that at the end of the day. Another way that I improve my self-esteem is moving my body, eating healthy food. So it's a self-respect for my body, as well as if I am looking after myself, doing my hair, feeling nice, well, that improves my self-esteem as well. But if I don't care about my appearance and I'm kind of wearing, tracky dacks, actually stopped buying tracksuit pants because it didn't make me feel so good. Although I like to feel cozy, I invested in getting some more nicer sweatpants that make me feel better. So your clothes do help you feel good. It shouldn't be the cause of it, and you shouldn't try to dress to impress because you don't feel enough. But this is about you, okay? It's about you and how you feel. The next one, I love this. This is another way to help you improve your self-esteem, and that is mirror work, affirmation work, looking in the mirror, looking into your eyes and saying, "I love you. I am so proud of you. You are so talented and you are a gift to this world. I adore you and I can't wait to watch you create even more magic in your life. You deserve the best. You are worthy of prosperity in every way. You're worthy of being loved. You are worthy of success. You are worthy of wealth. You are worthy of joy and fun and all that is beautiful and good. I love you. I'm proud of you. Okay. Like that was what? 20-second rant of loving on yourself and looking in your mirror and saying that. I've got little mirrors in the kids' bedrooms just to say some affirmations, even if it's for 10 seconds before bed, looking into your eyes. And it's so cute seeing Chloe, our 4-year-old. She's like, mirror work time. She starts very extrovertedly saying her affirmations. I am capable is a great one. It's a great affirmation. Another one here is to have an empowered self-image script that you read. That's something that I coach clients through creating and embodying a powerful identity. So just because you don't feel fit, healthy, strong, happy, healthy, loved, all those things, you get to create one with pen and paper and rewrite your story about you. If you could be any version of you, which one would you love to embody? So write that down, and then it's about planting it in your subconscious and expressing yourself as that person. This is another one that helps me if I'm feeling really low, and that is helping someone less fortunate. Feeding a homeless person, going and passing on a coffee, paying it forward, or whatever it is. Go and help someone that's in a trickier situation than you, possibly. All right, putting good out that they can't repay you, right? But you know that you've done something good that absolutely raises the way you feel about yourself. And lastly here, fall in love with progress. Okay, fall in love with getting better and feeling better about you, feeling better about life, putting better out. This isn't about, I'm not good enough, so I've got to get better at this because I'm not enough. So I've got to practice more. So I'm going to practice more from a place of not enough. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about get that little bit better at having positive thoughts about you. Get that little bit better of being more selfless and kind and generous. Be that little bit better at opening up your heart and being vulnerable. Be that little bit better at having boundaries. Be that little bit better at being passionate about what you do and enthusiastic with everyone you meet today. Like, it's so many ways to be better. It's not just feeling like you're trying to get somewhere because you need to win because there's a test in life. So today, I really hope that this helps you create healthier self-esteem and gets you moving in that direction of improving how you feel about you. Because in my eyes, the most important relationship, other than the one with you and your higher power, is the one between you and you. And if you will work on that and if you will improve this relationship with you, I promise you the world will respond accordingly. So take any actions from that list, especially gratitude and mirror work. They're kind of like the two that really jump out for me today to share with you, and embody that just a few minutes a day and watch what happens. And if you want an extra tip, just go get a permanent marker or a whiteboard marker, or you can get lipstick, ladies, and write I am worthy on your mirror. And every time you see it, you name it and claim it. I am worthy. All right, beautiful souls, until next time, this is Nat, over and out.
We hope today's episode inspired you on your journey towards creating greater success and richness in your life. If you would love to receive extra valuable content, be sure to subscribe at our mailing at mattandnatmindset.com. That's mattandnatmindset.com, and receive life-changing emails as well as stay up to date on our upcoming events, both in person and online. If you found this episode valuable in any way, it would really help us on our mission to help more individuals and families heal, grow, and prosper. Spread the love by sharing this with a friend over on social media or text. We welcome you to leave us a comment or review and let us know what you've learnt from us so far. Head over to our social media channel at Matt and Nat Mindset. We just love hearing feedback from you, and it inspires us to keep creating life-transforming content for so many. So thank you for listening and supporting our channel. Have a blessed day, and remember to treat others from a place of love. This is where the magic of life is lived. Until next time, this is Nat.